Bhayam cha bhayameva cha.
Bhayam cha bhayameva cha.
Ahimsa samata tushti.
Ahimsa samata tushti.
Tapodanam yasho yashaha.
Tapodanam yasho yashaha.
Bhavanti bhava bhutahana.
Bhavanti bhava bhutana.
Matta eva pritak vidhaha.
Matta eva pritak vidhaha.
Satyam dhamma shamaha.
Shama satyam dhamma shamaha.
Sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo.
Sukham dukkam bhavo bhavo.
Bhayam cha bhayameva cha.
Bhayam cha bhayameva cha.
Ahimsa samata tushti.
Ahimsa samata tushti.
Tapodanam yasho yashaha.
Tapodanam yasho yashaha.
Bhavanti bhava bhutahana.
Bhavanti bhava bhutana.
Matta eva pritak vidaha.
Matta eva pritak vidaha.
Prabhus.
Buddhi jnanam asammoha. Shama satyam dhamma shamaha. Ahimsa samata tushti. Tapodanam yasho yashaha. Bhavanti bhava bhutanam. Matta eva pritak vidaha.
Matajis.
Buddhi jnanam asammoha. Shama satyam dhamma shamaha. Sukham dukkam bhavo bhavo. Bhayam cha bhayameva cha. Ahimsa samata tushti. Tapodanam yasho yashaha. Bhavanti bhava bhutanam. Matta eva pritak vidaha.
Let's read the synonyms. Buddhihi. Intelligence. Jnanam. Knowledge. Asammoha. Freedom from doubt. Shama. Forgiveness. Satyam. Truthfulness. Dhammaha. Control of the senses. Shamaha. Control of the mind. Sukham. Happiness. Dukkam. Distress. Bhavaha. Birth. Abhava. Death. Bhayam. Fear. Cha. Also. Abhayam. Fearlessness. Eva. Also. Cha. And. Ahimsa. Non-violence. Samata. Equilibrium. Tushti. Satisfaction. Tapaha. Penance. Dhanam. Charity. Yashaha. Fame. Ayashaha. Infamy. Bhavanti. Come about. Bhavaha. Natures. Bhutanam. Of living entities. Martaha. From me. Eva. Certainly. Pritak vidaha. Variously arrayed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please repeat the translation. Intelligence. Knowledge. Freedom from doubt. And delusion. Forgiveness. Truthfulness. Control of the senses. Control of the mind. Happiness and distress. Birth. Death. Fear. Fearlessness. Non-violence. Equanimity. Satisfaction. Austerity. Charity. Faith. And infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. Jai. The purport's a bit long, but we should stay focused. But you can see how Prabhupada breaks down all the different qualities very nicely. So let's meditate on what Prabhupada is telling us. The different qualities of living entities, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna, and they are described here. Intelligence refers to the power to analyze things in their proper perspective. And knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter. Ordinary knowledge obtained by a university education pertains only to matter, and it is not accepted here as knowledge. Knowledge means knowing the distinction between spirit and matter. In modern education, there is no knowledge about spirit. They are simply taking care of the material elements and bodily needs. Therefore, academic knowledge is not complete. Asammoha, freedom from doubt and delusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant and when he understands the transcendental philosophy. Slowly but surely, he becomes free from bewilderment. Nothing should be accepted blindly. Everything should be accepted with care and with caution. Shama, tolerance and forgiveness should be practiced. One should be tolerant and excuse the minor offenses of others. Satyam, truthfulness, means that facts should be presented as they are for the benefit of others. Facts should not be misrepresented. According to social conventions, it is said that one must speak the truth only when it is palatable to others. But that is not truthfulness. The truth should be spoken in a straightforward way so that others will understand actually what the facts are. If a man is a thief and if people are warned that he is a thief, that is truth. Although sometimes the truth is unpalatable, one should not refrain from speaking it. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. That is the definition of truth. Control of the senses means that the senses should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. There is no prohibitions against meeting the proper needs of the senses, but unnecessary sense enjoyment is detrimental for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the senses should be restrained from unnecessary use. Similarly, one should restrain the mind from unnecessary thoughts. That is called shama. One should not spend one's time pondering over earning money. That is a misuse of the thinking power. The mind should be used to understand the prime necessity of human beings, and that should be presented authoritatively. The power of thought should be developed in association with persons who are authorities in the scriptures, saintly persons and spiritual masters, and those whose thinking is highly developed. Sukham, pleasure or happiness, should always be in that which is favorable for the cultivation of spiritual knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And similarly, that which is painful or which causes distress is that which is unfavorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Anything favorable for the development of Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and anything unfavorable should be rejected. Bhava, birth, should be understood to refer to the body. As far as the soul is concerned, there is neither birth nor death. That we have discussed in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Birth and death apply to one's embodiment in the material world. Fear is due to worrying about the future. This is nice. Fear is due to worrying about the future. A person in Krishna consciousness has no fear, because by his activities he is sure to go back to the spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, his future is very bright. Others, however, do not think what their future holds, do not know what their future holds. They have no knowledge of what the next life holds. So they are therefore in constant anxiety. If we want to get free from anxiety, then the best course is to understand Krishna and be situated always in Krishna consciousness. In that way, we will be free from all fear. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.237, it is stated, Bhayam Dvitiya Bhinna Veshata Syat. Fear is caused by our absorption in the illusory energy. But those who are free from the illusory energy, those who are confident that they are not the material body, that they are spiritual parts of the spiritual Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who are therefore engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Godhead, they have nothing to fear. Their future is very bright. This fear is a condition of persons who are not in Krishna consciousness. abhayam, fearlessness, is possible only for one in Krishna consciousness. Ahimsa, non-violence, means that one should not do anything which will put others into misery or confusion. Material activities that are promised by so many politicians, sociologists, philanthropists do not produce very good results because the politicians and philanthropists have no transcendental vision. They do not know what is actually beneficial for human society. Ahimsa means that people should be trained in such a way that the full utilization of human body can be achieved. The human body is meant for spiritual realization. So any movement or any commissions which do not further that end commit violence on the human body. That which furthers the future spiritual happiness of the people in general is called non-violence. Samatha, equanimity, refers to freedom from attachment and aversion. To be very much attached or to be very much detached is not the best. This material world should be accepted without attachment or aversion. That which is favorable for prosecuting Krishna consciousness should be accepted. That which is unfavorable should be rejected. That is called samatha, equanimity. A person in Krishna consciousness has nothing to reject and nothing to accept save in terms of its usefulness in the prosecution of Krishna consciousness. Tushti, satisfaction, means that one should not be eager to gather more and more material goods by unnecessary activity. One should be satisfied with whatever is obtained by the grace of the Supreme Lord. That is called satisfaction. Tapas means austerity or penance. There are many rules and regulations in the Vedas which apply here, like rising early in the morning and taking a bath. Sometimes it is very troublesome to rise early in the morning, but whatever voluntary trouble one may suffer in this way is called penance. Similarly, there are prescriptions for fasting on certain days of the month. One may not be inclined to practice such fasting, but because of his determination to make advancement in the science of Krishna consciousness, he should accept such bodily troubles when they are recommended. However, one should not fast unnecessarily or against Vedic injunction. One should not fast for some political purpose. That is described in Bhagavad Gita as fasting in ignorance. And anything done in ignorance or passion does not lead to spiritual advancement. Everything done in the mode of goodness does advance one, however. And fasting done in terms of the Vedic injunctions enriches one in spiritual knowledge. I like the charity section. As far as charity is concerned, one should give 50% of his earnings to some good cause. Let me repeat that again. As far as charity is concerned, one should give 50% of his earnings to some good cause. And what is a good cause? It is that which is conducted in terms of Krishna consciousness. That is not only a good cause, but the best cause. Because Krishna is good, his cause is also good. Thus, charity should be given to a person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. According to Vedic literature, it is enjoined that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. This practice is still followed, although not very nicely in terms of Vedic injunction. But still the injunction is that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. Why? Because they are engaged in higher cultivation of spiritual knowledge. A Brahmana is supposed to devote his whole life to understanding Brahman. Brahma janatiti brahmanaha. One who knows Brahman is called a Brahmana. Thus, charity is offered to Brahmanas because they are always engaged in higher spiritual service and have no time to earn their livelihood. In the Vedic literature, charity is also awarded to one in the renounced order of life, the sannyasi. The sannyasis beg from door to door, not for money but for missionary purposes. The system is that they go from door to door to awaken the householders from the slumber of ignorance. Because the householders are engaged in family affairs and have forgotten the actual purpose of life, in life, awakening their Krishna consciousness, it is the business of the sannyasis to go as beggars to the householders and encourage them to be Krishna conscious. As it is said in the Vedas, one should be awake and achieve what is due him in this human form of life. This knowledge and method is distributed by the sannyasis. Hence, Charity is to be given to the renouncer of life, to the brahmanas, and similar good causes, not to any whimsical causes. Yashash, fame, should be according to Lord Chaitanya, who said that a man is famous when he is known as a great devotee. That is real fame. If one has become a great man in Krishna consciousness and it is known, then he is truly famous. One who does not have such fame is infamous. All these qualities are manifest throughout the universe in human society and in the society of the demigods. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there. Now, for one who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. Please hear this again. Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. One who engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities as arranged by the Supreme Lord. Of whatever we find, good or bad, the origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest itself in this material world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. Although we know that things are differently situated, we should realize that everything flows from Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada, transcendental purport. So you see how absorbing it is just to read Prabhupada's purport. When I first started taking class, I didn't know what to say after the purport. So Maharaj told me, this is how you do class. You read the purport and say Hare Krishna. We have ended the class, now serve the supper. So that's how we started classes actually. We didn't know what to say after that. So Maharaj said, don't say whatever that's in your head. It's not very good. Just read the purport, stop and say, let's all go for prasadam. But later on he said that it's our duty to speak something on the purport. So Srila Prabhupada wanted all of us to speak something on the purport. Jai Vritaraj, Bhagavad Gita as it is speaking. Om Ajnana Dhimirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tathagamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunatham Vitantam Sajivam Sagraitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Savagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Hanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindaveshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaure Krishne Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Isha Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitaha Ma Vida what is that? Ma Vida Kashyasvitana. This is a first verse from the nectar of this is the first verse from the Ishopanishad. And this is a very important verse from the Ishopanishad because it puts into context what we are speaking about for all the qualities that Krishna is being presenting is now to Arjuna. In this entire chapter, the one word that we should use is the word opulence. And it is the opulence not of you and me, but the opulence of the Absolute. So therefore, the entire chapter is really speaking about how powerful Krishna is and how opulent are his qualities. So you will find in this chapter, the Chatushloka verses are coming. But before that, Krishna is speaking so much about all his qualities. If you look at the particular verse of Ishopanishad, the reason why we bring that up is Krishna says, and he declares very clearly, Isha Vasya Vidam Sarvam. He says that everything which is animate and inanimate in this world, they are all coming from Krishna. Not only are they coming from Krishna, they are controlled and they are owned by Krishna. The two words are very important. If someone owns something, they can control it. If they control it, they likely own it. And therefore, all the qualities that we are seeing even in this material world today, they are all actually coming from Krishna. That's why Prabhupada, right at the end of this long purport, says something very important. He says qualities which are good or bad, the origin of everything is coming from Krishna. You cannot say that the demons were created separately and there's someone else out there who's separate from Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. And in Isha Vasa Vidam Sarvam, it's very clear, even if something is animate, even if something is not animate, which means it is inanimate, you will still be able to actually understand that it is coming from Krishna. This is a very important point that we should remember. And not only is it stated that way, if you look at another very important verse from Bhagavatam, it is in the 6th canto. I know it's 6th canto. It is in the chapter where Yamaraj is instructing his messengers. I think the 3rd chapter. There, Krishna very nicely is described as Otam Protam. He's known as Otam and Protam. He's lengthwise and he's crosswise. That's the word to word, which means he's horizontal and he's vertical. Vertical, horizontal. So it is very nicely stated there. Yamaraj says in that verse, is this 6.3, Prabhu? Okay, it's up there, yeah? You can see that, it's very nice. Otam Protam Patavat Yatra Vishwam. So it is stated that actually Krishna is the length and breadth. He's the length and he's crisscrossing every junction of our life. This is how Krishna is described. That means there is nothing in this world that actually escapes Krishna. And not only stated that way, in the translation it is stated that Krishna is like the length and the breadth of a woven cloth. Right? So that when you have a cloth, for example, dhoti or kurta or anything you wear, if you use magnifying glass, you will realize that actually it is nothing but the crisscross of threads. And every crisscross of threads are so tight, isn't it? They're very, very compact. And then we see the cloth. So it's the same with Krishna. We cannot see Krishna because of the compactness of the material universe. But if we understand through Bhagavatam, we will know that every junction of our life, Krishna is actually there. That is the point we must understand. So all these qualities, they are not actually coming whimsically. They are coming from Krishna. And that's why at the end of the verse here, you find that Yamaraj is saying the entire world is controlled by him, just as a bull is controlled by a rope in its nose. A bull may be very powerful, it will be huge, but actually it has no control over its movement because it actually has a rope. And it is the man who is actually moving the bull up and down. So this is a very important point for us to remember. And that means whatever qualities that we see in anyone, whether they are great qualities, whether they are demonic qualities, we should have a sense of perspective. That ultimately these qualities cannot actually manifest in someone without the sanction of Krishna. This is a very important point. Then a devotee learns to see the world with a different lens. Otherwise, what happens is, when we see good qualities, we claim it to be ours. When there are bad qualities, we blame others. Isn't it? That's our motto. If there is good qualities, we take it to be ours. And if it's bad qualities manifesting in us also, we will say it's in response to someone's bad quality. That's why we are manifesting that. Actually, we don't have it, it's just someone else. But the truth is, everything is coming from Krishna. So therefore, now, Krishna, in this 10th chapter, we should take back one very important point. That Krishna, through this verse and these verses, is telling us how all-pervasive he is and how actually powerful he really is. And he's saying this to Arjuna because this is a very important point. Arjuna is now in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita and he needs to be convinced why he has to fight. And he has looked at all his kinsmen and he's giving so many reasons not to fight. But through these qualities, Krishna is telling him that if you are a devotee, then you should manifest these qualities. And he's also hinting to him that whatever qualities that are coming from the Kauravas, I'm also sanctioning them. That is a very important point. Therefore, the whole battle of Kurukshetra was ultimately sanctioned by Krishna. So you see, what is that stated? Nimitta matra bhavya sabyasachi. And before that, Mayai vaidhi nihata purva eva. That is a very important point we should remember. So now we look at the qualities. We may not have time to look at all the qualities, but we will try, because we must do justice to Srila Prabhupada's purport. The first quality that comes up, which is important, is buddhihi. And Prabhupada describes buddhihi as intelligence, but he says buddhihi doesn't mean material intelligence. You may have an IQ which is very high, but if you're not using it for Krishna, then that IQ has no value, right? It is just useless actually. Therefore, true intelligence is one who uses whatever intelligence he has for Krishna. That is true intelligence. I have seen people with very low IQ, but when given Krishna consciousness, they are able to give so much of wonderful realizations. It's amazing. I have known devotees in our movement who are hardly educated, so to speak, and they were very dull and slow in their educational field. But put them on the Vyasa Sangh, and you cannot believe that, materially speaking, they were not even qualified. Then we know today we have the BTECs and the LLBs and the MCOM and everything. But if you put them on the Vyasa Sangh, it doesn't mean that they will have the realizations of a devotee. So this is very important. Prabhupada makes it very clear to us that intelligence must be used in Krishna's service. If intelligence is not used in Krishna's service, it will end up misguided. Do you remember in the 4th canto, Prabhus and Matajis, we had this wonderful story of Puranjana. You recall? Puranjana, it's allegorical actually, right? So Puranjana actually refers to the living entity. And the living entity becomes, when he walks into his world, into his body, he comes across this very beautiful maiden. And this beautiful maiden is followed by 10 maid servants, and then there is a serpent, the 11th member behind, always watching out. And like that, she's wandering in the city. So Puranjana walks into the city and he sees this beautiful maiden and he says, "My dear lady, who are you and where have you come from? And you're very beautiful, are you married?" These are the questions he's asking. And you know what she replies? She replies that, "I don't know where I've come from. I don't know where I've come from, and I don't know where I'm going to." And Prabhupada writes in that purport, this is misguided intelligence. The lady represents misguided intelligence, right? It's a symbolism of misguided intelligence. If we don't have Krishna consciousness in our life, then invariably our intelligence will go to everywhere else except Krishna. And therefore Prabhupada says that we must be very careful to actually ensure that intelligence is used for Krishna. If you look at this famous verse, I think it's in 1.5.18 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tasyeva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yat brahmata uparyadha talabhyate dukkhavanam yatha sukham kalena sarvatra gabhira rauhasa. Very, very beautiful verse from Narada, right? And Narada is speaking to Vyasa Bhagavan, and he's telling him this point. Look at the translation. Persons who are actually intelligent. Why would Prabhupada want to use the word actually? That means if you're intelligent, it doesn't mean you're intelligent. If you're actually intelligent, then you'll behave this way. You will endeavor for that end, right, which you will not be inclined to endeavor for that end which is actually available from Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet. We will not run after material happiness because we understand that that is just available anyway in this world. And look at the last line that Prabhupada translates. He says here that as far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in the course of time. Just like in the course of time, miseries also come when we don't desire them. Simple question. How many of us pray every day to Krishna, "Krishna, please bring me some misery"? Really. We're not Kunti Matas, right? So we're not praying that let the miseries come over and over again. There's one prayer in Bhagavatam we try to avoid. Generally speaking, we don't say that, right? We don't say, Krishna, let me be put in misery. No, we don't ask for that. Why? Because Bhagavatam says, whether you ask or not, misery is coming after you. It's coming after you. For 5 years, maybe you'll be very happy. Guaranteed the 6th year something will happen. Maybe 10 years you'll be fine. And then the 11th year something will happen. That's how the world is. So therefore, real use of buddhi is not run after this up and down happiness. And to accept that while happiness is coming, misery is also coming behind. This is the real mood of a devotee. The second thing that's important is another shloka. It is found, I think, in it's 2.3.10 of Srimad Bhagavatam. 2.3.10. Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udavidihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. This is very nice verse. Look at how Shukadeva Goswami speaks about intelligence. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he has material desire, no material desire, he desires liberation, in all situations he will worship Krishna. That is intelligence. So today we know, when we talk about intelligence of spiritual life, don't run after material happiness because miseries are coming with the package. Instead, you run after Krishna. That is worth running after. Those who run after Krishna, the miseries don't run after them. This is a very important point. And second, in any condition of life, 2.3.10 tells us that in any condition, whether you are praying to Krishna, you don't want to pray to Krishna for something material, even if you feel that, oh, my child needs to go through an operation, I need to do pure devotional service, I cannot pray to Krishna. That's not true. In all situations, be intelligent and always turn to Krishna. That is better. Because Krishna is our whole and He is our soul. That is buddhi. The second thing that's very important is jnanam. Right? Jnanam, Prabhupada says in his purport, is understanding what is spirit and understanding what is body. This is the meaning of knowledge. Therefore, if one has knowledge, ordinary knowledge is material. And you all must have heard of the story of the boatman and the scholar, isn't it? The scholar got on board the boat and he was boasting to the boatman, his old friend from the village, how he knows philosophy of the sky, botany, he knows the composition of the water, he can tell you what are the fishes that are inside. And to everything that he said, the boatman said, I don't know any of this. So he kept saying like this, 30% of your life is wasted, 50% of your life is wasted, until a storm came. And the boat was in so much trouble that people started jumping out and swimming towards the shore. The boatman was the last person left with his friend, the scholar. He looked at him and said, I really hope at this moment you have the one knowledge that really matters, and that is to swim. And the scholar said, I learned everything except that. This is not buddhi. This is not jnanam. Knowledge means, what is the point of accumulating so much material knowledge about the world, the politics, the geopolitical situation, understanding everything, but not knowing the difference between matter and spirit? It is useless then, you see. At the time of our death, whether we know what President Trump did, or what happened to Ukraine, or what's happening in India, it won't matter at the point of death. The only thing that will matter at the point of death is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So people may ask this question, how do you test if the knowledge that you're getting is really jnana? The answer is in 2.3.12 of Srimad Bhagavatam. In 2.3.12 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is very nicely stated, again by Shukadeva Goswami. This is just after the Akama Sarva Kamova, just 2 verses after that. You will see there that he says very nicely this point. Look at the words that he's using in the translation. Shukadeva Goswami says, transcendental knowledge is actually knowledge which is in relation to Supreme Lord. So that's how we know that our knowledge is transcendental. If it is connected to Krishna, it is jnana. Now, not only transcendental, but something will happen when you study and gather this transcendental knowledge. You know what will happen? First of all, there will be a suspension to the whirlpools of the material modes. All the waves and the whirlpools of this Pururmi Chakram, of this world, which is up and down of material life, it will go. Very, very important. It will be suspended or it will be removed. This is the first test of your knowledge. The second test is, look at the word here, this knowledge must be self-satisfying. In other words, by studying the Gita, by studying Bhagavatam, by studying Srila Prabhupada's books and gaining knowledge, does it make you self-satisfied or it makes you anxious, or are you still desiring for material things? It's a very good test. Okay, we have studied Bhakti Sakshi, now we've got our degree. Are we self-satisfied? Every day after Bhakti Sakshi, are we self-satisfied? Okay, we've got certificates for ISKCON Disciple course, which we will give out after this, right? Ask all the participants, are you santushtaha? That is the true test of whether what we have studied was just on paper or is it put in practice. That is transcendental knowledge. You see the point? So we have to understand that transcendental knowledge, to test it, does it satisfy your heart? Can you sit down quietly with nobody in your house, in the four walls, in the four corners of your house, and can you sit down peacefully for an hour and just relish Srila Prabhupada's books? If you can, then the transcendental knowledge is acting on you. If you're restless because you're looking at your phone, you're waiting for someone to call, you're sending messages, reading, sending messages, it's not self-satisfying. Because you need other things to happen before you become self-satisfied. So this is something really as devotees we should think about. So buddhihi, right, and jnanam. Now we look at asammoha. Asammoha means freedom from doubt and illusion. That's why I get worried when devotees say, Prabhu, I have a doubt. You know, very often you have, at the end of the class, you say, Prabhu, I have a doubt. You know, in those days we never use the word doubt. In those days we say, Prabhu, I like to ask something. It's very different, you know, when you say you have a doubt. Doubt implies that there's somewhere along the line there is no faith. This is very important. Faith, right, is acting on knowledge, jnanam. Faith is to act on knowledge. And when you act on knowledge, then the result is asammoha. You become free from doubt and illusion when you act on the knowledge. If you're not acting on the knowledge, you will always be doubtful. You see, that's how we get freedom from doubt and illusion. Very, very important, right? So therefore, we should approach scriptures in such a way, not that we are doubtful, but because we are inquiring to understand it more and more, and to practice it more and more. That should be the mood in which we approach scriptures. If we use the word doubt, eventually the idea is we are doubting what we are reading. And we should never feel that way. Because what is given here is transcendental knowledge. Do you know in the Christian faith, I was saying this when we were discussing Bhagavatam today also, right? In the Christian faith, they have this phrase that they use for the Lord. They say, one must trust beyond borders. No, trust without borders. Very nice point. Trust without borders. That is how one should have faith in the Supreme Lord. It is stated in the Catholic and the Christian faith. Therefore, as between devotees, we build fences. Why? Because good neighbors build strong fences, so that we don't offend each other. My cow will go into your pasture, your cow will go into my land, and we'll fight with each other because there was no gate. At least with the fence, we will know this is here, there, this is here. We don't fight. But with Krishna, we should have full faith. There should be no borders with Krishna. Because Krishna is everywhere. So whatever that is coming from Krishna, don't doubt it. Otherwise, without faith, asammoha is very difficult. Good example, Dhruva Maharaj. Look at what he did. He was so upset with his stepmother, isn't it? He turned to his mother. Suniti just told him one good point. She said, what your stepmother said is correct. What did his stepmother say? You can't sit on the lap of your father. You have to take birth. You have to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Take birth again in my womb, then you can sit on his lap. So how angry Dhruva Maharaj was. But when he went home, when he went to see his mother was really good. She told him, what your stepmother said is correct. Which part of it is correct? Meditating on Krishna. In any situation of difficulty, please have faith and no doubt that Krishna's hand is there. We shouldn't become bewildered. When we have faith in Krishna, bewilderment and doubt are removed. So it's a test for us as devotees also. How much faith do we have in Krishna? And that will determine how less doubt and how less illusion we have in our lives. So Dhruva Maharaj did not out his mother and he went straight to the forest. In the forest, he heard from Narada Muni the instructions. And what did he do? He followed them again without doubt and again without illusion. And so his austerity was so powerful that Krishna had no choice but to appear before him. See how powerful it is. Trust without borders. That is asammoha. So please, don't say the next time, Prabhu, I have a doubt. Don't. You don't have a doubt. You accept everything, but you want to understand it better. Is that helpful? Because it will play with our consciousness actually, right? Don't do that. The next thing that's very important is Shama. Shama is a beautiful quality, but it has two qualities in Shama. Shama has tolerance and forgiveness. They come together actually. Trinarapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. Mahaprabhu tells us, right, in the Shikshashtakam verses, that if you really want to continuously chant Krishna's names, you have to also have the qualities that allow you to chant Krishna's names continuously. It's not difficult for someone to chant Krishna's names here and there. That's not difficult. But to consistently chant, you must develop Vaishnava qualities. And that quality is the quality of Shama. Until we learn to tolerate, what are we tolerating and who are we tolerating? Bhagavatam tells us actually, we should really tolerate our mind. That is the biggest problem to tolerate. Everybody else actually is not the problem in this material world. Because they are just coming according to the modes of material nature. But our problem is how we view them. And it's always through the lenses of the mind. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani, there is a prayer that he says, and in that prayer he says that we should we should tolerate the onslaughts of the mind. Another book of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sri Manaha Shiksha, very nice book. There he's preaching to his mind. And he tells his mind, stop this speculation. Because in speculation about other people, we don't develop tolerance. So you see, tolerance is not an artificial exercise. Oh Prabhu, I'm just tolerating you. I can't take it, but I have to tolerate you. No. Tolerance in Krishna consciousness is a positive thing. I tolerate the onslaughts of speculation that come to my mind. Sometimes we see a devotee behaving in a certain way. The mind immediately speculates he's a hopeless devotee. Or sometimes we say he's a very good devotee. Right? We're either attached to that devotee or very averse to that devotee. Both are not good. But the result of both is coming from the mind. And therefore there is no tolerance. So tolerance is very important. But we must tolerate ourselves. Sometimes I would meet my spiritual master and I would tell him, this person did this person did that, it's not very good. Maharaj would hear me, but at the end of it, before I left, he would say, Devaki, I just wonder how much, right, we find that we are trying to tolerate other people, because you have shown me that you are tolerating all these difficult people. But I'm wondering how many people are tolerating you. And I thought that was very helpful. Because till then, right, I thought I was very tolerant. But he pointed out another fact, that how many people are tolerating us, even as we think we are tolerating others. You may be tolerating, when is he going to finish? My God, this is going to be a long lecture. You're tolerating so many more qualities to finish. When will he finish? That's tolerance also. So actually tolerating our mind is the most important. That's very important. That's why it is stated, is it in 2:14 or I can't remember? Matra sparsas tu kaunteya, right? Is it 14? See 13, is it? See Tushna, 14, See Tushna sukha dukha, isn't it? Right? Is it there? Agama, paniyo, anityas, tam sitishasva bharata. Look at that. That is the point that Krishna is telling us. Look at the last line of the translation. There are so many, there's happiness, there's distress, there's disappearance and appearance. But what must we do? We learn to tolerate them. How do you know you're tolerating? In the last two words, without being disturbed. 3 words, sorry. Without being disturbed. If you can tolerate without being disturbed, that is shamaha. You know why? Because you're tolerating on the basis of forgiveness. You're tolerating on the basis of forgiveness. That's why these two qualities come together. If you're tolerating but you're disturbed, which happens to a lot of us, we are tolerating but I'm very disturbed. That means there is no forgiveness in our heart. A devotee has done something to you, you tolerate the devotee, but you are disturbed because you have not forgiven the devotee. So if you want to really finish off your process of tolerance, it must end naturally with forgiveness. If there is no forgiveness, then your tolerance is artificial. It's very important. Dhruva Maharaj is another example, Dhruva Maharaj was so angry with Suruchi and actually angry with his father. But by the time he finished his austerities and by the time he had come back with devotional service, right, what happened? When he came back to the palace, he actually fell at the feet of Suruchi. He did. And he actually behaved very nicely and Vaishnava-like with her. And she also felt in her heart that she had wronged him. And she embraced him also. And he went to Uttanapad, who was his father, and he was very upset with him. But by the time devotional service had taken root in his heart, he was actually able to forgive his father also. He didn't come back to say, now father is finished and stepsister is finished. No, he did not. When Mahaprabhu was insulted by Amoga, the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, did he take offense to it? He tolerated it without being disturbed. He said to Bhattacharya that what fault is there in Amog? What he said was correct. I was eating more than I'm supposed to eat as sannyasi. Let's face it. Okay, Bhattacharya, you gave me a big feast and I was eating more than I should eat. So what is the problem? You see how tolerant the Lord was, because in his heart he was forgiving Amog. He was. When Ramchandra Puri, another great exalted sannyasi, came with a mood to find fault with Mahaprabhu, one day he found ants, right, where Mahaprabhu had sat down. And from the ants he said, oh, there are ants because there must have been sweets somewhere. That's why ants came. And who was eating sweets? Mahaprabhu was eating sweets. Too much eating. And what did Mahaprabhu do? He told Govinda and he told Swarup Damodar, please cut down now my quota of eating. And all the devotees became very upset. They became upset first because how dare someone speak like that to the Lord? They became upset secondly because their prasadam also has to be reduced. They were also not happy. If Lord is not eating, I also can't eat. So they were upset in both ways. But Mahaprabhu tolerated it because he forgave Ramchandra Puri in his heart. So this tolerance is so important. Haridas Thakur was beaten in 21 or 22 marketplaces. 22, right? Always forget the number. 22 marketplaces. And those two guards who beat him, they had a hard time. Because they thought after beating him, he should surrender. But he never surrendered because he was completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So what did the guards do? The guards said, listen, Haridas Thakur, if you don't die in all this beating, right, when we go back, we will die. Because, the Nawab will become very upset with us. So what did Haridas Thakur do? He tolerated the beating, but he forgave the two persons. And he decided, let me stop the movement of airs in my body so that you can show him that I actually had died, so to speak. And that's how he saved these two men who were beating him 22 times mercilessly because of Shama. So Shama is a very important quality for all of us to have. Another quality that comes up is Satyam. Satyam is truth. And Prabhupada says here, truth, right, sometimes has to be unpalatable. It's not very palatable. If you go to a preaching, supposing you go for a house program, and everybody there doesn't know anything about Krishna consciousness, but you talk about the fact that this body is not the body, you are spirit, and if you say that actually as human beings, what is the difference between us and animals? You eat, sleep, mate and defend, they eat, sleep, mate and defend. Now some people may get upset, right? I do this in many house programs and I watch everybody's faces. But the truth of the matter is, it is the truth. And because we have belief, we don't have doubt. When we present truth without doubt, the truth is accepted by the populace. That is our experience. I think that's the experience of all of us who are presenting Krishna consciousness. Isn't it true? It is the truth. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, truth is very important because it is necessary to be spoken for the actual welfare of humanity. That's a very important point. But at the same time in Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada brings up a very important thing. In 1:13:13, Prabhupada talks about Vidura. Vidura has just come back to see his brother Dhritarashtra. And there, Vidura speaks to all the members of the family there. The Pandavas are all there. They love Vidura. He was such a saintly person. And he came back. But you know what? He spoke about everything and everyone, but he did not speak about the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. He did not. He did not. Because in Bhagavatam it is stated, I think it's in 1:13:13, right, Prabhu? Yeah. Compassionate Mahatma Vidura could not stand to see the Pandavas' distress at any time. Therefore, he did not disclose this unpalatable and unbearable incident because calamities come of their own accord. So, very nice point. And Prabhupada in the purport says really something nice. According to Niti Sastra, is it there? Let me see. It's there, is it there?
Yes.
Okay. There it is. According to Niti Sastras, civic laws, one should not speak an unpalatable truth to cause distress to others. So when we go and speak about the difference between animal life and human life, we don't want to say, we don't want to do that with the mood that I hope when I leave you all will cry and feel distressed. No, that's not why we want to do that. So the motive for speaking truth is very important. We should speak truth not to cause distress to others. Why? Because distress is coming to us anyway. By the laws of nature, it is going to slap us. So Prabhupada says one should not aggravate it by propaganda. Have you seen cases where somebody goes into a bad time and someone is jealous of that person and he says, oh, that person is in difficulty. But he pretends to feel very sympathetic. Prabhu, I wish you were not in this case. It's very bad. Then you will tell 10,000 people that he lost his job. It's propaganda, you see. But propaganda because you are speaking the truth. He has lost his job. But is it necessary that the whole of Sranam Road should know he has lost his job? It's not necessary, isn't it? So that is not speaking truth. That is using truth for other motives. So this is very important. And here it is stated for a compassionate soul like Vidura, especially in his dealings with the beloved Pandavas, it was almost impossible to disclose an unpalatable piece of news, like the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Therefore, he purposefully refrained from it. This is important. And if you look at 17:15 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that tells us how we should speak truth. Austerity of speech, that Anudvega Karam Vakya verse, isn't it? 3 things are necessary. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, and beneficial. This is the test. There are three things. If what you speak is truth, yes, but is it beneficial for that person? And thirdly, will it help that person? Will it be pleasing to him ultimately? These 3 things must be there. If they are not there, then the purpose is to agitate others. There is some propaganda. So this is a very important point. And that's why when we want to speak the truth, don't speak the truth just because we have to speak the truth. Think about how we should present Krishna consciousness. Is it pleasing? Is it beneficial? And is it the truth? This is how Satyam should be spoken. It's so nice, isn't it? So Vaishnava-like actually. This is how it should be. Then you have the 2 qualities of Damaha and Shamaha. Damaha and Shamaha means control of the senses and control of the mind. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that actually the senses and the mind are interlinked. The problem with the senses is we think that by using the senses and the mind for sense enjoyment, we will become happy. But actually we know now that the senses and the mind, if not used for Krishna, will bring a lot of agitation to our mind. Isn't it true? If your senses are not with Krishna, you will go up and down, up and down. So the power of thought, Prabhupada writes, should be used in sadhu sangha. This is what we're doing now. All of us are applying our mind today to the beautiful purport of Srila Prabhupada. And that is how Shamaha is actually achieved. Shamaha is achieved when we have control of the mind. And control of the mind is automatic when you hear about Krishna. Isn't it true? Later we will sing Gora Arti. Whether you like it or not, automatically your mind and your senses become controlled. So the next time you feel that your mind is disturbing you, your senses are disturbing you, pick up your japa bag take your beads and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The next 2 or 3 qualities come together. You have bhava, you have abhava, you have abhava, then you have bhayam, and you have abhayam. So Prabhupada speaks of them as birth, death, fear, and fearlessness. And Prabhupada says so nicely that actually this body, bhava, it only refers to the body and not the soul. So therefore, we have the quality of using the body for Krishna consciousness. That should be the quality that we have. Where there is birth, there will be death. This we must accept. If we have the quality of accepting that that which is born must die, then if even something dies, it is painful for us. Someone dies, it is painful for us. We will accept that ultimately, everyone's death is under the control of Krishna. It is only a question of when we go. There is no such thing as an unnatural death for devotees. All death is supervised ultimately by Krishna. Nothing can be sanctioned by Yamaraj until it is sanctioned by Krishna. And nobody can cut Yamaraj and say, I want the death to be this way or it happened that way. No. Prabhupada was asked this question, someone tragically died. And Prabhupada looked at him and said, all death is tragic. All death is tragic. There is no such thing as death that is not tragic. And then one time in Calcutta, when there were bombs coming down, and it looked like the situation was very precarious, the reporter from the West asked Prabhupada, that Prabhupada, in India it looks like the mortality rate, people dying is very high with all the bombs coming. And Prabhupada coolly, as the bombs were coming, Prabhupada coolly told them, everywhere in the world, mortality rate is always 100%. Which is true. The mortality rate in any place in the world is going to be 100% because everybody is going to die. So this is the understanding of birth and death. When we don't understand birth and death, then Prabhupada writes in the purport, what happens? Bhaya. There is fear. There is fear. And there is a beautiful definition of fear. It's in 11.2.37. Very nice verse. You can chant it with me. 11.2.37. And then we will wind down. Is it there, people? Let's all chant together. This is the, Kavim Puranam that is such. Bhavayam dvitiya bhiriveshatasya Isha apetasya viparyayo smriti Tanmayato buddha bhajetam Bhaktya ekayesham gurudeva tatma. Look at the meaning of it here. Fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body. Why? Because of absorption in this external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant. Then he becomes bewildered. In that fearful condition, he is affected by illusion, asammoha. Remember? Asammoha. Therefore, an intelligent person, see the word intelligent, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly. What's another meaning for unflinchingly? No doubt. Unflinchingly. In the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. That's why we need a spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and as his very life and soul. This is a perfect understanding of fear. In fact, actually, many of us want to define fear, but Bhagavatam has defined it for us. It's a very famous verse. Study it, learn it, because every time there's fear, we should understand what happens here. But those who don't have this fear, they are abhaya, right? They are abhay, right? Just like Srila Prabhupada's name, fearless. Why are they fearless? Samasritaye padapallavatlavam mahapadam Punya Yasho Murare Bhavaram Buddhi Vasapadam Param Padam 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 Vipadam Yad Vipadam Natesham. I think it's 10.14.58. I think that's the one. This is the way to come out of fear. A devotee was taken shelter. Sama ashritaha. One who has taken shelter of Krishna, this great material ocean, which is very dangerous, appears like nothing but water in the hoof print of a calf. It's nothing, we can just cross it. Why? Because we have taken shelter of Krishna. This is the meaning of fearlessness. So devotees, we should never feel fearful. Fearful is when we don't understand this world. Prabhupada, through his mercy, has given us so much to understand this world. Why should we fear it? We should use it in the service of Krishna. Which brings us to ahimsa. Ahimsa is not violence. And very nicely Prabhupada says, do not do anything which will put others into misery or confusion. That is ahimsa. Sometimes we think we are all ahimsa, in the sense that we are all, we've all given up meat eating, right? So therefore we are not killing anyone. So we are not violent. But the truth is, there are so many levels to violence. In fact, sharper than the sword is our tongue. Isn't it true? Sometimes our tongue is so sharp, we can say things in such a way that it causes so much of pain and confusion and hurt in people's lives. That means we are not ahimsa. We are not free of violence. We are very hinsa actually. We are full of violence actually. So ahimsa principle must be understood. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, in the 8th chapter, 56 verse, one very wonderful point about ahimsa is given. It is describing Haridas Thakur's qualities. Okay, and you can see it here. Haridas Thakur's qualities. Adi Leela, 8:56, Prabhu. Okay, Haridas Thakur doesn't want to be found. Oh yeah, I can just chant the verses. Okay, look at this verse. Sabara Sammana Karta Karena Sabara Hita Kautilya Matsarya Himsa Na Jane Tana Chitta. Now look at the synonyms, Prabhu's Mataji's. Look at Himsa. What does it say? Envy. So the root of violence is in our envious attitude. The more envious we are, the more violent we are with people. We will shout at people, we will hurt people, we will say things that we know. Have you met people who won't say it directly? That is, the dagger doesn't come straight, right? It comes the other way. You've seen it, right? Some people have mastered the art, you know someone is not happy, you come up to say, oh, Prabhu, Mataji, you're looking very nice today. Obviously they are not. But you say it like that. It's like that, And then suddenly you come, and maybe you have one necklace you've not worn for a long time. Oh, Mataji, what a nice necklace. And suddenly the spotlight is not good. I get complaints about this all the time. People get upset. Or sometimes you have not come for a long time. Then they say, Prabhu, what happened to you, Prabhu? So many months you have not come. Are you in Maya? If that is not himsa, I don't know what is himsa. That's as violent as it can be, you see. Why? Because of envy. Envy. When we are envious, right, definitely we will hurt people. Why? Because we will exhibit violence. Violence of speech, violence of thought, and violence of deed. It will happen. So don't think that just because we have the 4 regulative principles intact, we are now ahimsa people. We are not. We are not actually. Please remember this point. Then there is the word samatha, equanimity. Prabhupada writes so nicely that equanimity means not just being equal or not being like a sadhu, floating through life. No, it means we're not attached and we're not averse. That's what it means. Prahlad Maharaj says, Yasmat priya apriya viyoga samyoga janma. He says this whole material world is about what is pleasing, what is displeasing. It's about accepting and rejecting. That's what the whole world is about. But devotees, we should be careful not to get caught into that. Sometimes when we want to come to devotional service, we become very averse to our parents, our family members. Why? Because we think they're not devotees. They're eating meat, they're doing everything wrong. And then we become averse to them. That's not samatha. Please, it is not. It doesn't make us equanimous. It makes us fanatical. A devotee doesn't hate something. It may not appeal to the person, but it doesn't mean we don't have to dislike it. So sometimes, very often, our Krishna consciousness is based on aversion. This is Maya, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. In the end, you become Maya, because that's all you see. So that's aversion. The other end is also dangerous. Too much attachment. We become too much attached to something. So supposing I'm the only one doing Mangala Arati, okay? And I only want to do Mangala Arati. Nobody else should do it. That doesn't help anybody. Supposing I've been doing a service for many years. Somebody comes up and says, Mataji or Prabhu, give it to someone else. No! Because I'm very attached to it. That also it doesn't help actually. So don't be attached, don't be averse. What should you do? Just serve Krishna and serve the devotees. In the mood of service, you neither get caught by attachment, neither do you get caught by aversion. And if you do all of this, then you will achieve tushti. Tushti is satisfaction. It's so nice. We're coming to the end. Tushti. This tushti point is so nice because when we become self-satisfied within, then in any situation, we are very peaceful. We are very happy. We are not going to be grumbling and shouting, Sometimes we go to the Holy Ram Vrindavan, or we go to Dwarka. And halfway through we tell, Prabhu, no hot water, this one should be there, why is there this? I saw a cockroach, I saw a rat. Okay, it's a cockroach and a rat, what to do is there already, what can we do? I remember in Mayapur, I was staying in one of the places, I remember in the Prabhu, we didn't realize that we had a third guest in our room. It was a small mouse. Every day it was there. You know how we knew? Because all the sweets we bought at the end, when we opened it, somebody else was eating. And we're thinking, how come? The room is locked, everything is locked, who's eating? Then we look, and we found he's just scuttling around the whole room. So, it's very easy for us to think that things must be in place, then I'm satisfied. But in this material world, nothing will be in place. So don't look for that kind of satisfaction. Tolerate the difficulties and become satisfied. That's what we should be. Like now, Goranga Center, last week Prabhupada Maharaj left a message for me, and his last instruction to me was very nice. He said, Devki, the hall is becoming too small. It's in his recording. The hall is too small, and perhaps you need to get a bigger hall. I think it's a blessing, right? Who knows? Let's see. But we are squeezing, isn't it? And we may get fed up, because we are squeezing. But what to do? We tolerate and we go on. Maybe our prasadam queue comes out to the road. Sometimes it does. But what to do? We have to tolerate. We have to do that. There's no choice. In tolerance, in forgiveness, comes the satisfaction. That is how we should be. Namani anantasya hatatapa patan guyani vadrani kritani chasmaran gam paryatam tushtamanagatas praha kalam pratiksham vimano vimatsaraha. 1626 is a beautiful verse. Tushtaha. Narada Muni uses this word, tushtaha. Look at what he says here. He says, I began chanting the holy names and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. Now look here. So doing, I travel all over the world. What were the three qualities in which we travel the world? Self-satisfied, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. They are all related, Prabhu Simanjis. They are all related. If you want to be humble, there is no envy in the heart. If you learn to tolerate, there is no envy in the heart. You will become humble. And if you have humility, and if you have unenvious nature, then you will be satisfied with anything that comes. Isn't it true? That is how it is. And now, to wind down, we have the word dhanam. I'm not going to go into it except to say, Prabhupada says 50% of what you learn. Right? So, I think Tirasa Prabhu, myself, Advaita Prabhu, the treasurers, we would encourage all of you, right? Whatever you're giving now, check whether it's 50%. If it's not 50%, my suggestion is please read the purport this part again. It's coming from our founder Acharya. Therefore, we should be able to follow it and we should try. But what is Prabhupada actually saying here? Prabhupada is saying 50% not that he's plucking a figure out. You know where this figure comes from? It actually comes from Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami speaks about giving And he says 50% should be given. 50% for maintenance and taking care of family, 50% for Krishna. You may not be able to give 50%, it's okay. But the point is, give as much as you can. That's the point of charity. And don't give to receive something. Give means it's given. Where it goes, what happens to it, you know that's between Krishna and whoever's taking it. But you know that you have done your part. That is very important. But of course, if you give it to Gita Reading Society and don't get a receipt, please go and see Srinivasa Prabhu. That is important. We need to do that. Which now brings us to the last two actually. Yashash and Ayashash. Fame and infamy. And this one is very simple. Mahaprabhu's way of defining famous is really nice. Mahaprabhu says that anyone who is a devotee, automatically fame comes. Who's the example in Chaitanya Leela? Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri, he actually managed, he wanted the sweet rice, and Krishna stole the sweet rice for his devotee. Can you imagine? Stealing from your own bhoga which is offered. That's really far out, you know. Just imagine now, Pujari goes up, puts everything there, and then he counts 5, small, and then he takes it from Jagannath and there's only 4. Jagannath has stolen 1, but not for himself. Shirashore Gopinath stole it for his devotee. Because Madhavendra Puri just thought to his heart that Gopinath, if I can find out how this sweet kheer is made, I can maybe replicate it for my Lord Govinda in Vrindavan. That's all he wanted to do. But Krishna decided to let him take it. And he stole it for him. He stole it for him. But the important thing is, when the priest had the dream, and in that dream, Krishna said, I have stolen, and now take it and give it to Madhavendra Puri. He went to the marketplace, and he said, Madhavendra Puri, you are the most decorated personality in all the 3 worlds. And then Madhavendra Puri decided, I cannot stay here anymore, because people will come and find out this is who I am. And in the dead of night, he ran away. He didn't want fame. He just ran away. But before he could reach the next village, Chaitanya Charitamrita said, word had spread there. No Telegram, no Instagram, no WhatsApp. Somebody must have run. And they would have told, this Madhavendra Puri who is now coming is a great personality. So fame comes to those who don't seek fame. And those who are not with Krishna, the best example I can give you to close today, not the most auspicious example, is Duryodhana. Right? Duryodhana is infamous. Why? Because he could not even give 1 inch or 1 part, 1 portion of the hair to the Pandavas who were Vaishnavas. Forget 50%. Right? Couldn't even give that much. So that makes someone infamous. So the conclusion is an important point. Just meditate on that last paragraph where Prabhupada speaks about. In the conclusion, Prabhupada says an important thing. Krishna creates these qualities, but it is the person who must develop them within himself. What an amazing point. Let's end with this. Krishna creates these qualities. Let's repeat that. Krishna creates these qualities, but it is the person who must develop them from within himself. What does this mean? It means that Krishna is the reservoir of all qualities. But after he has given us that quality, our duty, if we are really grateful to him, is we have to develop them. How do we develop them? In sadhu sangha. By being humble, by understanding who we are, and by learning to become more and more fixed in our devotional service. So this is how Krishna gives us the free will to actually grow in our devotional service. He doesn't package us, He gives us something, now you do with it as you please. So it is up to all of us as we leave today. Do we want to really seriously inculcate these qualities and learn from them? Or do you want to just hear them and leave them in the air? It's really up to us. This is the glory of Krishna. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Jai Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
I can take one question. Is that okay, Vinod Prabhu? One question, if there is. One doubt. No doubts? Rangoy Prabhu. Can we pass the mic down? The mic is coming. This weekend, Dinwasa Prabhu, the sound system will be tested to the fullest in our Kirtan programs. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So thank you very much for a wonderful class, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Out of all these qualities, and also this is not the first place that Krishna is talking about qualities.
Yes.
He will speak about it in the 13th chapter, then
Yes.
the 16th chapter also.
Yes.
Out of all of this, again I speak for myself, cultivating all of them is going to be humanly impossible in one lifetime. So if there is one that one can pick out, what would that be?
What an amazing point actually. If it's not possible for us to cultivate any of these qualities, what is the one quality that we should actually develop? Personally, Prabhu, from what I've understood from these qualities, the most important quality is the quality of tolerance and forgiveness. Why? Because if we learn to tolerate our mind and we learn to forgive others who have given us difficulty, our heart becomes very soft. And Krishna is very pleased with the devotee who learns to tolerate. Because that shows so much. A devotee who can tolerate this material world and forgive the difficulties that come is a devotee who has knowledge of this material world. It is a devotee that has the correct intelligence that he's using. It is a devotee who is equipoised. This samataha is automatically there. It is a devotee who does not have any envy in their heart, so there's no hinsa also. There's only ahimsa. And this is a devotee who understands what is the nature of birth and death. And this is a devotee who also understands how to be fearless. Because very often we cannot tolerate something because we fear it. We cannot forgive someone because we fear them actually. But for a devotee who has nothing to fear in their hearts, tolerance and forgiveness is very natural. Very natural. So I find of all these qualities, this is one of those reservoir of qualities. From it, fountainhead-wise, so many other qualities must be composite in that person who exhibits this tolerance and forgiveness. That's my understanding, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji. Achintya Janani Mataji.
so, Prabhuji, like we are speaking about fear.
We're speaking about fear. I'll repeat it. Yeah, we're speaking about fear.
So, the main problem in life is that fear only of whatever is
The
happening.
main problem in life is fear. Fear
Yeah.
of whatever that's coming.
Yeah. So, how to overcome that fear, Prabhu?
The way to overcome the fear is to continuously pray to Krishna and seek his protection. There is no other way. Because when fear comes, we should understand from 11 to 37 why fear is coming. That's the knowledge part, Maharaj. Fear is coming because we're in illusion. We think we are in control. But actually, we are not in control of anything. Very often our fear is coming because we lack control. You will realize, like for example, very often we don't fear for ourselves, we fear for our loved ones, right? We fear for our children. Will they get the right, degrees? Will they be alright? Will they prosper? They're all headaches, like that, we are fearful. But the fear is because, we are fearing because we don't understand what the future will be for them. And also because we are fearing because we feel that we don't have the control over what happens to them. But we should accept that in life, we can't even control our own blood pressure and our cholesterol, by the way. So what to speak of being able to control the future of our children? We can't. All we can do is leave it at the lotus feet of Jagannath and pray to Jagannath every day to keep them under his shelter. And to pray to Krishna to have the strength to tolerate whatever that is going to come. That's all we can do. In this mood, the devotee will become more and more fixed in Krishna consciousness. Is that helpful, Mataji?
Prabhu, I was asking in terms of preaching, Prabhu. When
You are asking in terms of preaching.
Yeah.
Okay. Fear as in you're fearful?
fearful means when we approach new people.
New people.
Yeah, so sometimes we miss out on some people and then later we realize, oh, we should have spoken to them. But
Okay.
at that moment, it's...
Yeah, so sometimes you may meet someone but you could not have spoken or preached to them about Krishna consciousness. Then you feel fearful that you may miss out on something, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you say?
No, Prabhu. What I'm asking is, when we approach new people,
Okay.
sometimes we are fearful that how they will respond.
Oh, how they
Because-
will respond when you talk to them about Krishna consciousness?
Yes, because when we reach out to new people, some
Yeah.
are like, oh, we don't read Bhagavad Gita and all, you go away.
Yeah,
So
correct.
then after that, to reach out to the new person,
Yes.
that how to overcome that fear.
That fear.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. Straightforward answer. The only way to overcome the fear when we want to approach new people is to understand that we are not the one giving them transcendental knowledge. The transcendental knowledge is coming from a parampara that goes all the way back to Krishna. So when we have faith that what we're going to give them is so powerful, it will be powerful and useful for them, you will transmit this, Mataji, to the new person. You will. Because your faith is there, you see. It's like you are a vacuum cleaner salesman, okay? And you tell the person, this vacuum cleaner really works. And the person says, have you used it? No, I have not used it. Then you will realize the person loses faith in you. But you have studied Prabhupada's books. You have practiced it. So you should have full faith that when you present it to someone new, it will act. Just present it. And of course, we must use our intelligence, who we are presenting it to, how to present it. That's where intelligence comes, If you present something which is very strong, but you don't know how to present it palatably, some people may not be able to accept it. You go to students who don't know anything in NUS, for example, there is a way to present it. So that is something that we should be alert to. But it shouldn't be fear. We should not be fearful. We should have faith. It's both a F, but faith is more important than fear. Is that all right? Thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai Gaura Premanande. Jai. Thank you so much. What happens now, Madam?